multiverse to solve the issue for me. Give me a baby or don't, so I could move past a question that weighed more heavily with each passing year. Somewhere in the multiverse is a me who didn't get pregnant, who instead moved to Paris and is currently bringing coffee and croissants to her throuple lovers, lounging in their big bed in a tiny room in a Pigalle walk-up. Somewhere else is a me who adopted. Somewhere else is a me who got knocked up naturally in my heterosexual youth. That me is a grandmother now. Our lives swirl with possibilities always, directions taken and refused. I set forth on this one and found turning back from it to be impossible. In this iteration of the multiverse, I'm Mom, the kind of mom who got here through an odd yet common, queer and privileged path. I hope you enjoy the adventure. (2011) The Biological Clock, or Optimism. 1. A cold summer night in San Francisco. When I started telling the people around me that I was going to get myself pregnant, they reacted in a variety of ways and not always as expected. My two best friends, with whom I have a very co-defriendant relationship, were skeptical. "You can't just go and put the baby in the other room when you want to have sex," Tali said wryly, an apparent comment on my amorous lifestyle. Tali and I have been friends since the 90s, when we were both drunken poets slurring into the mic at open mic events. Now that we were older and sober, Tali's approach to life had become more grounded and cautious, and she was unafraid to offer her strong opinions, peppered as they were with a dark and honest humor. I was uncertain how to respond to my dear friend's read. Of course I understood that the baby would have to come before my libido, but really, why couldn't I tuck the baby in the other room when I wanted to have sex? That sounded reasonable. Tali tried another angle. "You like to take off and go to Paris." I was becoming a bit enchanted with my life as seen through my friend's eyes. Who was this jet-setting tart? But I hadn't been to Paris in years, and anyway, wouldn't I want to take my little bohemian baby traveling abroad? Wouldn't I want to teach them French by immersion in the cafes of the Bastille? In fact, maybe I would want to actually give birth in Paris, gifting my bébé with dual citizenship in an elegant, socialist country and treating myself to a free socialist hospital birth. Tali saw that her warnings were having the opposite effect and sighed in resignation, offering one more deterrent. "But you love your life." This made me pause. I do love my life, I thought to myself. I lived by myself in a spacious San Francisco apartment I could miraculously afford with the income I patched together running a literary nonprofit, writing books and essays, and reading tarot cards. My apartment building was old and gray, but in a dignified way, like Iris Apfel. The staircase had a polished wood banister, and the lobby was lined with mirrors, so you could get your last looks in before you pushed open a heavy glass door and went out onto the wind tunnel that is Page Street. Landing there seemed like a miracle in and of itself, not least because my inbred money scarcity almost pushed me to turn my back on it. The fact that the rent was so seriously under market value, this during the legendary San Francisco era of the tech bro, did not even register to me. All I saw was that it was more money than I'd ever spent on housing, and I balked, fear of having to come up with more money per month, setting my stomach churning. Thankfully, some friends who, while they may be similarly blinded by their own survival fears, can at least see it plain and clear when manifesting in another. That entire apartment literally costs $200 more a month than what you're paying to live in a converted living room in a flat with 20-somethings who keep mistaking their cocaine panic for heart attacks and calling the fire department. Tali lectured sternly. "You should move." San Francisco is a city of neighborhoods, but this latest spot I found myself in, my charmed apartment, seemed to be in a liminal space. I'd lived in a few different San Francisco neighborhoods, mostly the Mission, which I watched go from a neighborhood of Latinx families, Salvadoran restaurants, street hookers, and dykes, to a neighborhood of white tech workers, pastry shops selling deconstructed confections, electric scooters, and yoga moms. For years I lived in North Beach, worried that the throngs of tourists would drive me mad, but I was ultimately delighted to be residing in a spot that so many people from all over the world wanted to visit. The air smelled like rosemary focaccia, and my local bookstore was City Lights, where the elderly Lawrence Ferlinghetti, R.I.P., was often in residence being interviewed by European film crews. I'd also lived in Bernal Heights,